Hello again, my friends. How are you? How have you been? You know, I've never given you a name to call me by, now have I? You may call me the Reader. And I'm back with a few more stories from the dark side of Reddit. More specifically, AskReddit. For those unaware, r/AskReddit is a subsection of the website, described as, quote, the place to ask and answer thought-provoking questions. These questions and topics could range from the lighthearted and innocent, such as, who was your grade school crush? Shout out to Andrea in the 7th grade. To the dark and haunting, such as, have you ever killed someone in self-defense? In this video, we'll be looking at 4 chilling stories to come from AskReddit, and the fallout that ensued. What was the scariest or creepiest thing that has ever happened to you? Years ago, I was on a cross-country trip solo to a family reunion. I was supposed to make it to a friend's house. There was horrible weather. It was slow-moving. Then a terrible accident happened just ahead of me, and I was stuck for quite a while. All told, I was 5 hours behind schedule. I was exhausted, in need of a bathroom and a shower, so I pulled into a little strip motel off a fairly backroad state road. It was obviously small and dirty, but would work in a pinch. There was a window to the outside where check-in was. The guy there eyed me up. I was then a college-aged girl. He asked me if I was traveling alone. I went to hand him my ID and credit card, but he insisted cash only. Red flags were going off at this point, but I scrounged together just enough cash, and he tossed me the key. The room was dirty, barely bigger than the bed. The first thing I did was go to the bathroom. Then I flipped the mattress. Dirty, signs of bedbugs. A moment later, I spied a cockroach. That was it. I was out. I decided to use the parking space at least, and sleep in the back trunk hatch of my SUV. I curled up using a suitcase for a pillow, and random clothes for a blanket, and fell asleep for an hour. I woke up aware of someone talking on a phone outside, and glanced out to see the guy from check-in standing outside. It was now 3 a.m. He finished up his call, then he quietly walked over to my room, unlocked the door, and walked in. The lights didn't turn on, and a minute or two later, he came back out, slamming the door behind him, cursing, with another guy. I hadn't seen the 2 guys enter, so I still don't know where he came from. They talked angrily outside for a moment. Then the check-in guy walked over to my SUV. I covered up my head quickly with a shirt. After he tried the locked door, he peered in the back seat. But between my tinted windows and blending into the general mess, he didn't notice me in the hatch. 2 guys were walking away to the far side of the lot, talking more. The one gesturing across the street to where a diner was. While they were distracted, I climbed up to the front seat and started the SUV. They turned around in surprise as I pulled away. I called my friends back home and told them, but didn't want to worry my family, so I said nothing to them. When I got back home some 3 weeks later, we figured out the name of the hotel thanks to Google Maps and called the local police. They told me the place had closed down only days before. Edit. Frequent questions and stuff. This was about a decade ago. Took place along 250, I believe, in Virginia. Place name was Mountaintop or Mountainside Motel. It was a single-story building. Check-in window in the middle. Tiny diner across the street. No other businesses nearby. My logic was that it was smarter than parking by the side of the road. Police took my info and never called me back. Never found out anything from web searches immediately afterwards. At least one friend thought I misunderstood the situation, and there was a logical reason. What's the biggest double life you've ever personally seen revealed? Well, this is a salient question to stumble on today. Nutshell background. About 7 years ago, my brother was struggling with addiction, using almost any and everything, although alcohol was his drug of choice. We have a really long family history of alcohol use disorders. He dropped out of school and spent a few years bouncing around treatment centers and sober living houses. 3 years ago, he decided to move back about 2 hours away from my parents' house to get back into school. At this point, he's a lot older than the kids in his classes, and socializing is hard, so he would come up to see the parents every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He decided to go for a chemistry degree, every semester talking about his specific classes, the content of them, etc. He knew the class times, professors, talked about teaching styles, and like clockwork, brought his dog to my parents for finals week twice a year so he could study without distraction. My entire family came from all across the country for his graduation ceremony on Friday. We were all bursting with pride and excitement because my brother had just done what we all thought was impossible and graduated. Pre-ceremony, none of us could find his name in the book. Then we couldn't find him walking among the other students. About 30 minutes into the ceremony, I got a call from him. He was drunk. Turns out, he never enrolled back into school. He just moved back, conned my parents into paying rent and utilities for 3 years, and spent 4 days a week boozing, gaming, and sleeping. No one knew this was going on. He invested so much into this double life that he had his whole family and all his friends fooled. We're not sure what the next steps are. My husband and I are going to pack his place up tomorrow. It's hard to find hope with this level of deceit that went into his latest stint. He's hurt so many people on this path, but he's my brother and I love him nonetheless. Here's to a brighter tomorrow. Thanks for letting me word vomit and process this a bit more. What's a creepy story that still gives you chills to this day? I know I'm late to the party, but here goes. I took genocide as a class my senior year of high school. We were lucky enough to have a bunch of Holocaust survivors come and speak to us. One story stood out in particular. A man told us of how his life was saved by another prisoner. He was ruffling through some garbage to try to find something edible when a guard caught him. The guard forced him to kneel, and he remembers the cold feeling of the guard's pistol poking the back of his neck. All of a sudden, a thick fog rolls in out of nowhere. The guard is distracted for a moment, and then the man heard a loud clang and rapid footsteps. The fog cleared as quickly as it came, and the man saw a bloody shovel on the ground, while another prisoner was running away at full speed. He then told us how he is broken and will never be whole until he sees the man again and thanks him. Fast forward 3 stories. A man comes in and tells us about the night where he went to rummage through some garbage to find something edible. He sees another man doing the same, and in the distance then sees him being found out by a guard and almost executed. He was afraid, but when a thick fog rolled in, he saw a shovel near him and knew it was his only chance. He hit the guard on the head and ran back to his bunk without any spoils to hide. He then laments how he never saw the man again. Needless to say, we were all freaked out and started screaming that the man he saved spoke only 30 minutes ago. The 2 men were brought together after nearly 70 years and broke down crying while sharing a long embrace. It turns out that they've only been living 4 miles from each other for the past 40 years. I love a happy ending. This last confession isn't for the faint of heart. Therefore, here's your official warning. Viewer discretion is advised. To those who have accidentally killed someone, what went wrong? This still haunts me to this day. As kids, we had a hideout in this dirt cliff/cove. This is the best approximation I could find on Google, only 3 times taller and probably 10 times as wide. There was a neighborhood kid who, in hindsight, was probably mentally handicapped in some way. But to us, he was just this weird/creepy kid. This was the 80s, and we weren't exactly raised PC. 3 of us were headed to our base and found the creepy kid sitting on top of our guard chair. We yelled at him to get out, and he said something like, "Make me," and started lobbing dirt clods and sticks down at us. We all ran around the side to make our way up. It gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound. When we got back down to check on him, he was in a very awkward position with blood coming out of his mouth. We all just freaked out and ran home. And as far as I know, no one has spoken a word of this to anyone. We didn't go back for over a month, and no one said a word of it between us. Again, this was the 80s, so media wasn't like today. Chances are it got a small article in the newspaper B section. Missing mentally disabled child found dead after fall or something like that. Well, I didn't expect to wake up to this. I have no idea why we didn't collectively tell our parents. We all just booked it for our respective homes without saying a word. I think mainly because we thought he was the weird kid, and we all thought that we would get in trouble somehow. No, I don't think we were directly responsible. Indirectly, maybe. Again, it's fuzzy, and all I remember is us throwing sticks at each other. I have tried to find any record of him, to no avail. I remember the neighborhood kids from those days' first names, but not the last. I have since moved a few hundred miles away and didn't keep in touch. I don't even remember the creepy kid's first name. I have looked blindly for any record of the kid, and have spent hours on Facebook trying to find my old friends, but I haven't found anything yet. No, I don't know if he actually died that day. All I have to go off of is my mom mentioning him going missing, and us not seeing him around after that. When we finally went back to our base over a month later, there was nothing out of the ordinary. No police tape or anything like that. I don't remember any of the cops canvassing the area asking about him. After this comment was made, the replies instantly blew up. Some were quick to question the legitimacy of this comment. Others were extremely disturbed about what the commenter meant by, "It gets pretty fuzzy here." However, one user made a reply that chilled everyone to their core. Was it Scott Clischulte? He went missing in 1988 in St. Charles, Missouri, near where you grew up and currently reside, correct? That would make you around 10 or 11 at the time he went missing. He would have been 9. I don't know if it is this kid. If it were him and the story is what you said, it seems likely his body would have been found. A corpse of a 9-year-old at the bottom of some land formation can get washed away pretty easily in a storm, however. If it is him, or isn't him, you need to talk to your local PD. June 8th, 1988, St. Charles, Missouri. A 9-year-old boy by the name of Scott Allen Clischulte went missing and was never seen again. In an interview with Nancy Grace, Scott's brother claimed the last person who had seen him alive was his sister, who had said she had seen him at the top of a hill, just playing and being a kid. Upon users digging further into the case, it was discovered that a thunderstorm occurred the night of his disappearance, leading many users to speculate if Scott's body had been tragically swept away by a flash flood after his fall from the cliff, if he was indeed the boy from the story. A newspaper article was also discovered by Redditors, and it noted that Scott was excited to have finally completed the first grade at the age of 9, hinting that he may have also have dealt with a learning disability. Redditors were also quick to search through the mystery user's post and comment history, and were able to discover his age, as well as several references to living in Missouri during the late 80s and early 90s. Things were beginning to add up, and it was quickly becoming scary. Whatever the case was, the revelation caused enough of a stir to prompt Reddit moderators to step in and remove the entire comment section, as well as the replies mentioning Scott Schulte. The mystery Redditor was allegedly active for a few more months before ultimately deleting his account altogether. There has been no update since. Hello everyone. Thank you all for listening to my latest video. And a big thank you to all my new followers since my last video. I know I promised I'd be more active on this channel, and I assure you I've been working on this video for a lot longer than I probably should have. Poor struggling computer illiterate YouTube narrator. I did want to take a bit of time and thank all of you for helping me hit the 200 subscriber mark. There, you get that one. You get a blooper. That's what you get for helping me at 200. Because every time I get a single new subscriber, I'm just blown away that people like my content enough to subscribe and say something positive about the channel. It's pretty unreal to me. So thank you all for helping me get this channel to grow. It really means a lot to me. I've said before, I have some fun things in the works for this channel. And hopefully in a couple weeks or so, the sticker shop that I've been planning on making will be up and running. And we can get you guys some kind of Eerie Hollows stickers or something. We'll figure it all out. I recently started a Facebook page for this YouTube channel, so if you want updates or even a preview of some of the stickers I had in mind, please check me out. You can find it on Facebook at The Eerie Hollows. This is the Reader signing off for now. Until next time, my friends. And thank you all again. Goodbye. Hey guys, real quick. So in the time that it took me to edit and fix up this video, we actually hit 500 subscribers, which is so awesome. And in honor of that, here is a quick clip of me trying to record on 4th of July. Thanks again. Bye guys. Hello everyone. Thank you for watching my latest video, and a big thank you to all of you. I love fireworks.